51% of Gen Z believe that there are more than two genders. They are the most progressive generation by far, and that's why in this video, when we look at a family who say that they have two transgender kids, most people in Gen Z would look at that and go, yes, that is absolutely, completely, statistically normal. It shouldn't surprise you that it's more popular than ever to be trans. Now, I'm not taking away from trans people at all, okay? They actually do exist. They're real people and they should be respected. But something has happened to make it more popular. And I worry that this trend might just continue. Only 1 in 1,000 boomers, baby boomers, report that they are transgender. That's 1/10 of 1%. For Gen Z, young adults, 23 out of 1,000, over 20 times more. Does that mean that this particular affliction is affecting more people? Is it becoming more rampant? Should there be an investigation into what's causing this? Maybe. I'll tell you what it's not, you bigots. It's not a social contagion, all right? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not a social contagion, because MSNBC said it's not. So you better listen to them. Regardless, it's more common than ever before for families to have more than one transgender child, particularly under the age of 10. Now, we're going to dive into a video made about a family with this exact situation happening. And I want to go into it with an open mind. So let's do that. Let's not be convinced by anything before we go into it. Let's just go in and actually listen to what this family has to say. But before we do, I'm going on tour all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. America, the United Kingdom. I'm going to beautiful Australia. Well, I'm already here. New Zealand as well, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to come and see me live, head to isaacbutterfield.com right now and sign up for tickets. Costs you absolutely nothing. All it means is when I'm coming your way, you will get an email and you get first grabs at the best tickets.
The reaction when people hear that we have two trans kids is pretty shock and awe.
I'm no expert on statistics. Shock horror. Never been a fan of it. Standard deviation can suck me off. But I'll go out on a limb and say this is all likely to do with the parents. And if these kids had different parents, this never would have happened. I could be proven wrong, but let's just continue the video and see what happens. It's in California, Berkeley. Say no more. I don't need any more explanation. That explains everything.
Being trans, to describe it, it would mean you were born the gender that you don't feel like in your heart.
Hang on, how old are these kids? This is the thing with the whole gender dysphoria conversation, is we have seen a dramatic shift in who is affected by gender dysphoria, which is a real affliction that people suffer from. It is real. But we've seen such a shift in it. For many, many years, it was only older men who were becoming women because they felt like they had always been women who were having these gender surgeries and changing things about their bodies. But now, it's not those older men, it's now younger women, and I mean children, who are feeling gender dysphoric more and more and more. We haven't seen a change in an affliction like that ever. For example, if breast cancer, which normally affects only women and sometimes men, started only affecting men or mainly affecting men, people would be shocked. They wouldn't be able to believe it. But when we see something completely changing like gender dysphoria, the vast majority of people just accept it. It seems very, very strange. Now, I'd like to just say that I prefer to focus on the parents in this video, but there is a lot of the kids in it, and I guess we have to look at them as well. But as I said before, there's no hate to these people. We're just watching. Also, they agreed to the video, so I think we're fine. We're cool. We're cool.
Being trans isn't like weird, and it just means that you are biologically the opposite gender or a different gender than you are.
Well, that's not true. Who told you that?
Okay.
I want breakfast.
You're hungry?
Hey, that's obviously some post-surgery penises in there. I feel it's quite strange they're collecting them, but each to their own.
When James was 8 years old, he asked to transition, which meant social transition, which is not permanent. He got to use he and him for pronouns. He then, this past year, changed his name legally and his gender markers legally.
At 8 years old, you let an 8-year-old change their gender. Something that'll affect them, that change, for the rest of their lives. You let them do that at 8. You are there as a parent to help guide your kids through life and make sure that they make decisions that won't, unfortunately, detrimentally affect them later on in their existence. And I would argue that this perhaps, for a lot of people, may affect you in a negative way. It might help some, but I think for a lot of kids, it's going to really affect them. There's numerous reasons why, but one is this. If you, at a young age, decide to go to school as the opposite gender, how can you possibly change back if you change your mind? You can't. There's no way you can go back because you would be bullied, you'd be attacked, all these things would happen. You have to commit to the bit. You have to commit to it forever. And that's a decision that you've made at a very young age and you may live to regret it. Possibly. You're barely letting your 8-year-old cross the road alone. Don't let them make decisions that'll change their life forever on their own.
I always have been a boy, but I started to realize it in first grade when I told my mom I wanted to have my hair short and that I wanted to look less girly.
Okay, first grade. So what, 5 or 6-year-old? They wanted short hair. Okay, fine, have short hair. That doesn't mean you're a boy. That doesn't mean you've changed genders. It just means you've got short hair.
So James approached us in a casual way by dropping hints from the time he was 7 until he was 8. He would say things like, I'm half boy, half girl, half gorilla. And I would think, you're not good at math like your mom.
Hey, for 1 year. They did it for 1 year. And you decided that they were on their way to being trans. Mate. What? Give your children time to grow and change and go on different journeys through life. What they've done is the child's made a decision, or they've started to make a decision, and they've gone, right, this is you. And now they're following that trajectory without the possibility of changing. How do you change that trajectory? You can't. I noticed also that your child didn't transform into a gorilla either. Did you notice that?
He would say things like, I'm half boy, half girl, half gorilla.
It's strange that you decided that's ridiculous.
I remember a time that he said to me, sometimes I feel like I'm a boy. And at that point, I was, trying to be a supportive parent and said, yeah, I've got effeminate feelings and I get that. And that's okay to have feelings that are masculine and feelings that are feminine.
Hey, that's a fair point, Dad. Fair point. Let's see how you fuck it up from here.
He just now, a month ago, started hormone blockers. It's an implant. It is to prevent his puberty. It will prevent a menstruation cycle and breast development.
Fuck! These are kids. Kids, let them be kids. Not only does common sense tell you that most likely your child will grow out of this, but science tells a very similar story. A giant study that was conducted in the early 90s focused on young men who reported gender dysphoric feelings. And all of those, well, not all, but the vast majority of them ended up changing their feelings, or they turned out to just be gay dudes. If you become trans as an adult, all the power to you, mate. Good fucking on you. But this is not a decision for children to make ever, particularly when we're talking about hormone blockers. That is the cornerstone of my argument. Medical intervention with children should never be undertaken when it comes to shit like this.
And he is counting down the days until he can start testosterone, which would be the first time something permanent would be happening, because at that point it would affect fertility.
Mum and Dad, what the fuck? I know you think you know what you're doing, and I know you think you're doing the right thing, but what the fuck? Once they're 18, as I said, go for it, go nuts or bluff them off. But not now. And on top of all that, your other kid is trans too. Do you not see the red flags here?
If you use a blocker and go on to testosterone, your eggs would never mature.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to go through female puberty for that, which is something you could do.
I could, but I don't want to.
Why?
Because it's uncomfortable.
What's
to think of that?
Okay, there are points where we must listen to our children, take on their information, their thoughts on the world. But at other times, we must go, no, that's wrong, okay? Or at least converse with them and have a discussion. Just accepting blindly whatever they say is ridiculous. You as mum or dad need to sometimes be the bad guy. These parents aren't doing that. They're terrified of something horrible happening to their child because their child's probably stuck in some TikTok fucking rabbit hole, and they're terrified of something bad happening, so they're just allowing anything to take place. Madness, mum and dad. Madness.
I transitioned first, so I think that helped Olivia see that it was okay to be trans.
That's the other kid. And helped or convinced?
Olivia said she was transgender from the age of 4 until 5.
Fuck! 4 years old and you listened. If you listen to a 4-year-old, they're going to end up at midnight eating chicken nuggets. All right? Don't listen to 4-year-olds.
And we allowed her to wear whatever she wanted, but she didn't socially transition until she was 5 years old.
Oh, well, that's fine then. 5 years old. Give him a driver's license too. Why don't you give him a beer?
Who think that we're just following our children around and doing nothing.
No, we do.
For anyone who says that we're pushing an agenda, I would ask them to look at their own children. If you can't find a way to love your child, and your faith or your fears are more important than you're caring for your own child, then don't look at me, look at yourself.
And Dad has lost the plot. Your kids are in this situation now for life because of you two. And also because of where you live in the world and what time you live in the world. It's almost like it's a social construct. Once again, I'm not taking anything away from actual trans people and people with gender dysphoria, but under 10 years old, for both of you kids to say this, surely you must look and go, fucking something's happening.
We're listening to our children, and because we're doing a lot of research, and research has proven that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, okay, I imagine the research you've done has led you down a rabbit hole, and you're in an echo chamber of everyone thinking the exact same thing and no one questioning it.
I learned the scary statistics of what happens when a parent is not supportive of their transgender child. The high amount of suicide that occurs scared me so much.
I get it. I do. You hear these horrible things and you think as parents, shit, we've got to do something. We've got to act appropriately. It's 2024, or whenever this happened, 2020. We've got to do the right thing by our kids, and we've got to listen to society, and gender's a social construct, and we just need to let them pick whatever they are. I understand you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. Ladies and gentlemen, to wrap this entire video up, I wish these people all the best, but I also wish that people wouldn't be so terrified of what society might think of them. And this is like, when I say society, I mean woke society. What woke society would think of you if you actually talk your child down from this very strange decision. I think a lot more parents need to be a bit more realistic and in the real world rather than having their head in a virtue signaling cloud. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments section below. But otherwise, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Mid stinks. Toodaloo au revoir. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this fantastic video by me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some very important news. I am going on a world tour in 2024. If you are in the USA, the UK, Australia, or New Zealand, or any other part of the world, make sure you sign up for tickets at isaacbutterfield.com, and as soon as they become available, you will get an email. You'll be able to get them straight away, and you won't miss out. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Once again, see you next time. Bye.